Picture this. You wake up on a Tuesday morning, same as any other. You pour your coffee, flip on the news, and the headline stops you cold. A major supply chain disruption. Trucking strikes spreading across 3 regions. Port shutdowns on both coasts. You drive to the nearest grocery store, and what you find is half-empty shelves, a line stretching out the door, and panic buying that's already stripped the bread aisle down to crumbs. Your family is looking at you, not the television, not their phones, you. And the question in their eyes is simple: are we going to be okay? That moment is coming for more people than want to admit it. Food supply disruptions are no longer a fringe concern. They're a documented, recurring reality. And the difference between the families who navigate that moment with calm and the ones who don't comes down to 10 items. Not a bunker. Not a year's salary in freeze-dried meals. 10 specific foods that store long-term, deliver real nutrition, and cost less than most people spend on takeout in a month. I'm counting them down starting at number 10, and I promise you, number 1 changes the entire equation. Let's get into it. At number 10, we have white rice. And before you roll your eyes at something so ordinary, hear me out, because the numbers behind this staple are anything but boring. White rice, sealed properly in food-grade 5-gallon buckets with oxygen absorbers, stores for up to 25 years. Not 5 years, not 10. 25. A single 50-pound bag runs between $20 and $30 at warehouse stores, delivering roughly 80,000 calories. That's 40 days of baseline energy for one adult from a single bag that costs less than a dinner out. Preppers in Japan, where disaster preparedness is practically a cultural institution, have stockpiled rice for decades as their primary caloric backbone, and agriki. Cultural extension data backs up why. Rice has one of the lowest oxygen requirements of any stored grain, meaning spoilage is dramatically slower than almost anything else on a shelf. Here's what most people miss, though. Rice alone won't sustain you. It needs companions on this list. Keep that in mind as we go. But as a calorie foundation, nothing competes at this price point. The math doesn't lie. At number 9, we have honey. And this one earns its place for a reason that sounds too good to be true until you see the science. Honey is the only natural food that genuinely does not expire. Archaeologists found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs, still edible. The reason is chemistry, low moisture content, natural hydrogen peroxide production, and an acidic pH that makes it almost impossible for bacteria to survive. A 1-quart jar of raw honey runs about $12 to $18 and serves triple duty. It's a calorie source, a natural preservative when added to other foods, and according to documented medical research, an effective antimicrobial agent for wound care in emergency situations. But here's the mistake most people make. They store cheap processed honey that's been heat-treated and filtered, which strips out the enzymes and antimicrobial properties. Raw, unfiltered honey from a local beekeeper is what you want. Spend the extra few dollars. In a long-term scenario, that difference matters enormously. At number 8, we have dried beans, and specifically a mix of pinto, black, and kidney varieties, because no single food on this list punches harder for its weight and cost. A 1-pound bag of dried pinto beans costs under $2 and yields 6 cups of cooked beans, delivering roughly 600 calories and 40 grams of protein. Scale that up to a 50-pound bulk bag at around $40 to $50, and you've just purchased a nutritional anchor that stores for 8 to 10 years in a cool, dry environment. A homesteading family in rural Tennessee documented surviving an extended income loss primarily on beans and rice. Their monthly food cost dropped to under $60 while maintaining adequate nutrition. Here's what the grocery aisle doesn't tell you. Beans are a complete protein when paired with rice because together they provide all 9 essential amino acids. Separately, they're incomplete. Together, they're a survival nutrition system. That's not an accident. It's what subsistence cultures around the world have known for centuries. At number 7, we have hard red winter wheat berries. And this is where serious long-term preppers separate themselves from casual stockpilers. Wheat berries, the whole, unprocessed grain, store for 25 to 30 years sealed with oxygen absorbers. Regular all-purpose flour? 2 to 5 years maybe. The difference is that flour has had its protective bran and germ layers milled away, exposing the oils that eventually go rancid. Wheat berries are the whole seed, intact and protected. A 50-pound bag costs $30 to $45, and with a hand-grain mill, available for $60 to $150, you can produce fresh flour indefinitely. According to USDA grain storage research, wheat berries maintained in proper sealed conditions retain nearly full nutritional value for decades. Think about what that means. While packaged flour expires on a shelf, wheat berries are quietly waiting, completely stable, ready to become bread, pasta, or porridge the moment you need them. That's the kind of long-game thinking that actually protects a family. At number 6, we have salt. And here's a historical reality that reframes everything. The word salary comes from the Latin word for salt, salarium, because Roman soldiers were paid in it. Salt was once literally currency, and in a food crisis, it becomes currency again. Your body cannot survive without sodium. More critically, salt is the foundation of food preservation. Brining, curing, and pickling all depend on it. A 40-pound bag of non-iodized canning and pickling salt costs under $15 and stores indefinitely. Most preppers stock nowhere near enough. Dietitians estimate adult sodium needs at roughly 1,500 milligrams daily, but in a high-exertion survival scenario, that number climbs sharply. Stock a minimum of 10 pounds per person per year, and ideally more if you plan to preserve any fresh food through curing or pickling. One homesteader in rural Montana kept a 3-year salt supply and credits it as the single reason she was able to preserve an entire deer harvest after a deep freeze breakdown wiped out her conventional storage. Salt is not optional. It is infrastructure. At number 5, we have rolled oats, and what makes them remarkable is something no other grain on this list can claim. You can eat them completely raw. No cooking, no water required if absolutely necessary. In a scenario where fuel or clean water is limited, that matters. Rolled oats store for 25 to 30 years in sealed containers, cost around $30 for a 50-pound bag, and deliver a nutritional profile that includes complex carbohydrates, soluble fiber, and more protein per ounce than most grains. The American Heart Association has backed oats for cardiovascular benefits for decades, but the prepper value is simpler than that. They're filling, they're fast, and they're flexible. Oatmeal, granola, dense energy bars, thickener for stews. Oats do all of it. A family of 4 can survive comfortably on oats as a breakfast staple for years from a single bulk purchase. At number 4, we have canned and freeze-dried meats, and this is where the investment spread becomes real. Quality freeze-dried chicken or beef from a reputable brand runs between $50 and $120 for a number 10 can with a 25-year shelf life. That sounds steep until you calculate cost per serving. Most freeze-dried meats land at $4 to $6 per serving, comparable to a fast food meal, but shelf-stable. For a generation. Canned tuna, salmon, and sardines are the budget option. Under $2 per can, 3 to 5 year shelf life, and dense in omega-3 fatty acids and complete protein. A prepper in coastal Oregon documented building a 3-month meat supply for under $400 using a combination of sardines, canned salmon, and a rotating freeze-dried backup supply. Without adequate protein during physical stress, muscle deterioration and immune suppression happen fast. This is the category most people underinvest in because they assume they'll figure it out later. Later is the problem. At number 3, we have apple cider vinegar, and this might be the most underestimated item on this entire list. Shelf life? Indefinite, when stored in a cool, dark place. Retail cost? $3 to $6 per quart. What it does? Almost everything. Apple cider vinegar with the mother, the unfiltered raw kind, functions as a food preservative, a natural cleaning agent, a digestive aid, and according to multiple peer-reviewed studies cited in nutritional research, has demonstrated antimicrobial properties against common foodborne pathogens. In a grid-down scenario where commercial cleaning products run out, vinegar becomes your food-safe surface disinfectant. It's the foundation of pickling, which extends the shelf life of fresh vegetables from days to years. It neutralizes odors, soothes skin irritations, and can reset gut pH in digestive distress situations. Buy it by the case. You will use every bottle. At number 2, we have coconut oil, and the numbers here are striking. Refined coconut oil has a shelf life of 2 to 5 years. Virgin unrefined coconut oil stored in a sealed container in a cool environment can last up to 2 years at room temperature. But here's the critical detail. It's almost entirely saturated fat, which is precisely what gives it that longevity. Saturated fats resist oxidation far longer than polyunsaturated vegetable oils, which can go rancid within months of opening. A single tablespoon of coconut oil delivers 120 calories, dense, fast-burning fuel for hard physical labor. At $8 to $14 per quart, it's affordable in bulk. Indigenous populations in the Pacific Islands have used coconut oil as a primary fat source for generations, and missionary medical records from the late 1800s document its use in wound treatment and skin protection. In a crisis, fat calories keep people functional. Coconut oil delivers them with one of the longest shelf lives in the liquid fat category. And at number 1, the item that makes everything else on this list renewable, we have heirloom seeds, not hybrid seeds, not GMO varieties. Heirloom, open-pollinated seeds that can be harvested, saved, and replanted season after season indefinitely. This is the only item on this list that multiplies. Every other food in your stockpile has a finite supply. When it's gone, it's gone. Heirloom seeds are different. Plant a single tomato and it produces hundreds of seeds. Plant those and you have thousands. A comprehensive heirloom seed vault covering vegetables, grains, and herbs runs between $50 and $150 from quality seed banks like Seed Savers Exchange, and stored properly in a cool, dark, low-humidity environment, most varieties remain viable for 5 to 10 years. Historical records from the Great Depression show that families who maintained kitchen gardens with saved seed stock maintained nutritional variety, while neighbors relied entirely on relief rations. The seed vault isn't backup food. It's a food production system you can hold in one hand. Without it, everything else you've stored is borrowed time. So there you have it. 10 foods that don't just fill a pantry, they build a real foundation. White rice and wheat berries for long-term calories. Beans for protein, salt and vinegar for preservation, honey and coconut oil for shelf-stable nutrients and natural medicine, oats for flexible daily fuel, canned meats for the protein gap, and heirloom seeds as the renewable engine underneath all of it. None of this requires a compound in the mountains or a 6-figure budget. The entire foundation can be built for under $500 if you approach it systematically. If this opened your eyes to gaps in your own preparedness, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We break down practical self-sufficiency content every single week. No fluff, no fear-mongering, just information that actually works. And before you go, check out the next video on your screen where I walk through the 5 most common prepper mistakes that waste money and leave people less protected than they think. Most people are making at least 2 of them right now. Don't be one of them. Preparation isn't about fear. It's about knowing what others don't, before you need to.